Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Draculas Feast New Blood is a horror monster, almost universal monster themed board game. But everything is played not for scary, but more of a cartoon look. And I think this could work with the entire family. And unless you're just really opposed to these monsters, I think you'll be fine playing this with your kids. There's nothing gory or inherently scary about it with these characters and the way they're drawn and look. And the artwork is phenomenal in this game. It really jumps off the cards. Now, this game itself is kind of sold as a social deduction game. And I can see where they're going with that, although I disagree with that a little bit. Social deduction is one of those things where it's like, yawn, another social deduction game. Because they all kind of plays resistance ripoffs. You see that cooperative game sometimes where it's like, okay, this is more like a pandemic ripoff or something. I've done this before. So you have a Dominion with deck building games or maybe even Ascension. Social deduction is something that's heavily borrowed from resistance, and it kind of almost ruined the genre for me. This game is less a social deduction game. Yeah, you're trying to figure out which character is who and which person is what character, but it's more of a deduction game to me because you're going to be gathering information about the other players and the cards. You can dance with them and check and see what card they are and kind of figure that out as you're going along versus rather than the lying and the bluffing that comes with most social deduction games. That will not be here. That might be something that opens up the genre a little bit for families who don't like that kind of lying or bluffing atmosphere that you find in a lot of social deduction games. Perhaps that will make this one a quicker playing, which is true, but more accessible to families that may not be entirely sold on this genre of games. If you're starting somebody out with this quote-unquote social deduction game or deduction game, I think, or maybe even an inference game, right? I think this would be a great place to start. Draculas Feast New Blood is an excellent little deduction game. You probably play it a couple times in a row. It's not going to really have the temperance to hold an entire evening together, I don't think. But package with the right other games. For example, maybe play a round of this or two and then play Horrified. Maybe end with another round of this. Draculas Feast. I think that would be a great evening to have with friends. You have your little cooperative. You got your social deduction game where you're playing competitive. And you can kind of mix and match that in. Maybe even throw Monster Crunch in there if you want to throw another game with this kind of theme to it. Excellent night, excellent way to spend an evening of gamings, and this one could be tabling that, almost sandwiching into games if you're looking for a good one. If you're looking for a straight-up social deduction with the lying and the bluffing, I think you need to look elsewhere, but this one exceeded our expectations. Keeper for us. Here is Draculas Feast New Blood by Jelly Bean Games. Now, this box looks scarier than it is, but it's kind of funny with like the sausage there and whatnot. And it has a little clips on the box so you can easily get it out, which I truly, truly appreciate. You're going to get a rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. You're going to get a bunch of cards. These little ones are just going to say yes or no. There's plenty of these for all of the players, very generic looking. You're going to have enough of these player aids for each of the players. So they're going to tell you all the powers of the different players. You can easily look at that, and then you can see how each of the turns will go. That's great. Each character in the game will have one here that will be face up, just so you know who's in the game. And then the other ones will have the powers listed on them. That's kind of, and what this does by not having the powers on here, it makes you look at this so everybody can't see what you're reading. So that's really good. And there's enough in these that you won't use them all every game. So part of the fun is going to be doing the combination. There are a couple that they deem to be, there's three of them that they deem to be more advanced that they recommend, but nothing in here is too hard. You can see the artwork is fantastic. The font on it is great. And everything's kind of played for laughs. Nothing in here is too scary as a zombie. So very good, and the components are awesome. You might want to sleeve these just because it's a secret deduction game. So if you chip and end or something, it's not going to work out too well for you, but they are good quality. Here is the rule book, a picture of the front of the box. You're going to have the contents over here. No pictures of those. You can see there is of most things right here, though, and the reference cards. Tells you how many guests there will be for each game and preparing, how to set up, etc. Very, very simple. And then a picture of it all set up. Gameplay will be right here. Then they're going to break it down what you do with pictures. There's going to be examples and stuff. So it's very, very easy to pick up. If you ever played a social deduction game, it's not going to be very difficult for you. Any details and clarification. Each of the guests will be explained back here with their picture, which is really, really good. And then the advanced ones they kind of set aside. An example of a round if you wanted to read kind of how it goes. And then credits on the back. I found the rulebook to be fantastic. We didn't have any issues while playing. Everything went super smoothly. Each player is given a player reference and a yes and no card, which they will return face down. Then you're going to choose whatever characters will be in the game, and you will take their ones with the red bat, and you will just put those face up for everyone to see. Then you'll take the cards with the words of the 6, let's say in this case, you take Dracula, you take him out. Then you will shuffle up the cards, and one will be placed face down as the mystery guest. Then you'll take Dracula back in, and you'll shuffle these up and give everybody one card, which only you will look at, and this will tell you which character that you are, and it will have a power attached to it. That powers, all the powers of the characters are also listed on the back of the reference card, so you don't have to look at your card, or you don't have to look at anything else. You can easily see here what everybody should be doing, and this side will have the 3 actions that you can do. The very first action you can do is you can whisper to someone. You might say, "Hey Bonnie, are you Dracula?" Now Bonnie would have to look at her cards and say yes or no, whether she is Dracula or not. That's given to you face down. You look at it, oh yeah, Bonnie is Dracula. Now the only caveat to this is the trickster must always say yes. So at this point, you know she's either Dracula or maybe she's the trickster. The second thing you do is dance with another partner, and they have to be willing to accept that. Although there are some characters like the Boogie Monster who must accept dance recommendations because she's the Boogie Monster, right? She'll always dance. So you would ask them if they would like to dance. If they say yes, you simply look at each other's cards. Okay, I know Fred is Dr. Jekyll, and he knows that I'm the Boogie Monster. That's some information that has been granted out. If they decline to want to dance with you, you can just ask somebody else if they would like to dance. Really until either somebody says yes or you get to a character that must accept all the dance requests, or a few of those. The third thing you do is accuse somebody. So what you're going to do at that point is you're going to say, I think you're Dr. Jekyll, you're Helsing, I'm the Boogie Monster, because you have to reveal yourself at this point. You're Dracula, and you're the ghost. So I'm kind of saying I think the mystery guy is the trickster. And then everybody will put their cards in, whether they're saying yes or no. Let's just say something like this. You shuffle them up so you don't know who sent what. And you're like, no, I got some of these wrong. So you would be incorrect, and then the next player would go. Unless you're Dracula, because if you're Dracula, you can do another acquisition. That's his deal. If everybody said yes, I was correct, then you would win the game. Now, there are a few other ways to win. Like, for example, Van Helsing, if you're wrong and you get all no's, Van Helsing can then tell you who Dracula is, and if she is correct, then she kills Dracula and wins. So some of the characters might have other win conditions, but for the most part, you're trying to guess who everybody is very easily. And that's an overview of how you play Draculas Feast. Who should buy this game? Somebody's looking for a shorter or a lighter social deduction game. Not a lot of rules. It's kind of harder to break this one than some of the other ones, and it's a little bit less player dependent than some good role players that you need maybe to play the Resistance or maybe Sheriff from Nottingham or something like that. This one's going to be a little bit lighter, maybe a little family friendlier, a little bit heavier in the deduction than the social side of it, I suppose. It's got the cutie artwork, if you like kind of the universal monster look. I think this will play in for you. This is one I would tell you, if you can find it at a pretty decent price, which I think it is available at this time at a pretty good price, one I would recommend easily. Keeper for us.